Game 4, New York Rangers, Florida Panthers tonight, Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL. Guys, welcome into PuckTime on WagerTalk TV. I am Andrew, and I've got Carmine with me here to break down this game, side totals, props, and much more here on PuckTime. Carm, the road teams continue to make money in the NHL. In the playoffs, especially here, these road teams continue to have success. Now, the road team 2-1 in both series, both the West and in the East. And if we look at it, for the most part, throughout these playoffs, the road team just so happens to be an underdog. So what's stopping us from betting these road teams continuously, Carm? How are you, man? And what are your thoughts on that statement?
Yeah, no, listen, I get it. Early on, we saw, I think in the first round, Andrew, road teams the home road splits were something like 22-22. And then as you get into the second round, you start to get rid of some of the weaker teams, for lack of a better word, like the Washingtons who lose all 4 games. Some of these teams that are gone in 4 or 5 games in their series. And still, the road teams get better because they are better squads. 19-6 for road teams at one point in the second round. I haven't looked at the unupdated Excel sheet on that one, but we got 4 good teams. So as good as home ice is, I think even if any of these series were to go 7 games, I would have no problem taking a road team in Game 7. I'd have no problem taking the Edmonton Oilers in Dallas. I'd have no problem taking the Florida Panthers in New York. You get the Game 7 in either one of those series, and I hate to use the word coin flip, but that's what it is, because the line in those games isn't going to be any higher than minus 130-ish for the home side. You look at Game 3 of this one, and the final score does not dictate the way the game was played. You look at it, and uncharacteristic of Florida to score a goal and then allow a couple quick ones in that first period. But I talk about analytics, and it's just a point of making the point of what the analytic numbers are. The eye test comes in as well too. You guys watch the games. Some people don't like the analytics, but I'm going to mention them anyways. Look at the Game 3 numbers as far as analytics, Andrew. XG numbers in a game that had 9 goals in it, 3.77 to 1.77 for Florida in all situations: 5-on-5, 6-on-4, 4-on-3, everything included there. That's basically 5.5 goals of XG in a game that they generated 9 goals. So what does that mean? It means that Florida did what they were supposed to do as far as scoring. They generated almost 4 goals. They scored 4 goals. The Rangers well exceeded it. So now you look at it, was it Bobrovsky in goal? Did he play that bad? Because they only generated 1.77 XG. They scored 5 goals. The fifth one was like a deflection off the glove or whatever it was into the net. It's a goal. That's all that matters. It's a goal. The high danger chances, 16-8 for Florida in that game, Andrew. The shots on goal, 37-23. I don't put a lot of stock in shots on goal, guys, because teams can win with 20 or fewer shots on goal. And you look at the Rangers, they scored 5 on 23 shots. The scoring chances, 46-21 for Florida. So these aren't excuses on Florida. I'm just saying the numbers stacked with Florida, and it still wasn't good enough, because this is a good and a special Rangers team. They showed up, and it wasn't even their stars that did it in that game. So what does that tell you? They scored 5 goals, and it wasn't one of those ones where it's Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, Artemi Panarin, and Vincent Trocheck that scored all 5 goals, and the stars showed up. This team is very good. What happens tonight, if you're looking at like sort of that zigzag thing, and this series really hasn't zigzagged, the first couple of games did, but it's back-to-back wins for the Rangers. I'm sticking with my series prediction that this series goes at least 6 games. And if for it to go 6 games, Andrew, the Florida Panthers have to win tonight, because if this goes back 3-1 back to New York, I just don't see the Panthers pulling off another one of those miracles like they did last year in the playoffs where they came back from 3-1 down. I think it was against the Bruins and won that series. The Rangers are a different beast. But with that said, I like the Florida Panthers here. You have to look at how you want to play this game because the price is minus 160 to minus 170. It's a high price. You can split a couple units and take the puck line. I know taking a puck line is always dangerous. You're getting plus money, but if Florida can lock them down tonight, they're going to have to find a way of locking them down. It should be a low-scoring game. You can look at it in regulation as well too, but a couple of these games have gone to OT, so you could end up with a winner that turns into a loser. I think Florida gets it done in 60 minutes tonight. So give me the Panthers, Andrew. And can you talk me off that one?
Carm, I can't talk you off it. The only thing that worries me, though, is that everything you just mentioned, I was going to say the same stuff about this Rangers team, right? People continue to call the Rangers a team of destiny. You take a look at the numbers here, at the lines for the game from DraftKings, seeing minus 165. You got some books showing 170, as you were talking about. Total, of course, being at 5.5. But you mentioned it, Carm, and this is what worries me here. A lot of times when a team does not win a game they were meant to win, usually they bounce back the next game with a game that they actually deserve to win. And that's kind of what worries me a little bit because, I'll say it. Look, I've been getting called out. People say to me on social media, on the shows, and it's great. It's great for the engagement of the show and for me on X saying, hey, you're always against New York. You're always against New York. And now it's not just me. It's everybody because analytic people that are watching the games, a lot of times, when's the last time Bobrovsky gave up 5 goals? It hasn't happened in a long time. When's the last time this Panthers team got off to the start that they did in the game and they weren't able to protect the lead? It doesn't happen very often. But instead of looking at the analytics and saying, man, the Rangers shouldn't have won, like you were doing as well, we kind of have to look at this and be like, man, we have to tip our caps to this team that continues to find a way. And Carm, for me, during these playoffs, a lot of the games that I've lost my over bets on, the over 1.5 has still cashed in the first period. And it's very frustrating. Game 2, I had the over in Oilers versus Stars. Of course, game 3 goes well over. And of course, you see I had game 1 over in New York and Florida, and game 3 goes well over, or game 2. So, sometimes things that you're like a day late, dollar short. But the things with this Rangers team, Carm, is that I think they're going to get off to a good start as well because they're a veteran-built team. They know, just like you and I know, they didn't play very well in that game, and they still scored 5 goals. They still won the game. Looking at the numbers here, as far as shots on goal, 37-23. I know you said you didn't take into account, but as you were just talking about, purely dominated on that standpoint. Something that Brian and I like to use as far as money puck, the deserve to win meter, 77% as far as the Florida Panthers. They think they 77% of the time should have won that game. So, Carm, in short here, well, I guess not really in short after going on here, but I like the over 1.5 in the first period. It's at minus 110. And I hate to go on the other side with this one here, but I love the price. Minus 130, New York Rangers team total over 0.5 goal in the first period. So I think that the both teams to score is a good bet, but I don't want to get greedy with that one. That's plus 185 for what it's worth. And it was 2-2 after the first period in the last game. It's kind of hard to argue with a plus 185, but I'm going to go with the over 1.5, but small play on the minus 130 team total over. And I have to shout out Louis Vuitton Don. This is someone that DM'd me on Twitter, X this morning, Carm. Louis Vuitton Don. He DM'd me and said, this postseason, the Stars are 5-0 in games 3 and 4. Rangers this postseason are 5-1 on the road and 4-0 in overtime games. Those two numbers alone say the Rangers plus 145 is the move. That's the thing, Carm. At this
Yeah.
point, I know this is going to sound funny, but I'm going to throw it back to you with this. You and I watch a lot of hockey. We love the game. And we look at analytics as well. But in doing that and looking at the game, instead of just looking at the odds, are we kind of being blindsided by the fact that these road teams are just finding a way to win? I mean, the Panthers were the better team. They were much better the last game. But I'll tell you what, I've been sitting at home to myself saying, I wonder what my record would be if I just bet every road team the whole entire playoffs, because that wouldn't be much of a handicap, would it? But it seems like it's working right now.
I wouldn't see, like, even with I think it's the road teams have won, I think, somewhere between 8 to 12 games, Andrew. I'm going to update it for the next show. 8 to 12 games more than home teams have won. But in many of those cases, they were leading vig. So I just don't see the profit margin being more than plus 3 or 4 units either way, either plus or minus. I mentioned the analytics because it is a show. It's just not about what we're seeing on the ice, but what the numbers also say as well too. You've got to mention them, but I've yet to find a sports book that will cash a ticket based on what the final analytics said. Well, you go to the window.
Let me know when you find it.
I'd like to cash the ticket, sir. You had the Florida Panthers, the Rangers won. Yeah, but they won the analytics battle, 377 to 177. It's not the way it works, but it's a good way sometimes of, if you see something happen consistently, and we use it in soccer sometimes, where you see a team underperforming to what they're scoring to what they're actually creating. And eventually those two lines will cross, the XG number, the expected XG, and what they're actually scoring. Those two numbers will, when this team starts to play better, and this I'm talking from like European football, and that's when you want to get on a team before that number, before you have to start to pay a premium on those prices. The Rangers are playing well. You got to give them credit. They're playing well. They finished first. I don't believe in that, Andrew. This series has a long way to go still. Let's hope it does. But I don't believe in the you win the President's Trophy, you can't win a Stanley Cup, because it's been 10 plus years, 11 years since it's happened. Yes, but the parity in the league, you look at it, these four teams, you can mix and match them however you want. You're going to get a good Stanley Cup. You could have thrown some other teams into the mix as well too, and there's parity in this league now. So just because you finish first in the league doesn't mean you can't win the Stanley Cup. And the Rangers are there; they are favorites right now to win the cup. Dallas is the second choice. Obviously, the teams that are up 2-1 in the series are going to be like that, Andrew. But we talk about how teams play. The Rangers are going to come out tonight. Both teams are going to come out tonight, but the Rangers are going to have almost that energy in them that they're free rolling in a certain way. They're free rolling. They're up a game. They have home ice. They can, if they win this one, they can clinch it on home ice and get a bit of a break while the Stars and the Oilers beat themselves up. We'll see. I have a feeling Florida plays their best game of the series tonight. Whether that actually happens and it's still good enough to win, we'll have to see. But you look at yesterday's game, Andrew, between Dallas and the Edmonton Oilers, and that game, for the most part, was an even game. You look at like XG numbers, 384 to 318 for the Oilers. Shots on goal, 31-22. Again, not a big disparity there. Scoring chances, 29 to 24 for the Oilers. High danger chances, 16-10. Not a lot of separation. You know what the difference in that game was? Edmonton was up 2-0 at the end of the first period. The Dallas Stars came out, and the Oilers had nothing to match the energy of the Dallas Stars in that second period. The Stars owned that second period. They owned the Oilers, and that's when they won the game, in the second period. That game was done in the second period. If you were there, those goals just let the steam out of that arena. The fans were, the energy level in that arena in the first period was unbelievable. But they just sucked that energy out in that second period, Andrew. agree or disagree, that second period from Dallas was a masterclass.
Absolutely. I mean, it goes to show what everybody kept on talking about with that team, with the veteran players they had and how deep they were, Carm. The Oilers came out. They were the home team. They had the crowd behind them. They had the energy. McDavid played, I'd say, the best period I've seen him play in my life. I mean, the guy had like 7 shots after the first period, it felt like. They're up 2-0, and then just like that, Dallas, unfazed, comes in, second period, takes control, gathers the game back, and then, of course, they end up taking the lead, and they don't look back from there. And it's a really good point, Carm, about not just playing 20 minutes of a game, but playing a full 60 minutes. And that's what I wanted to ask you about the total in the Panthers and Rangers game, to get back to that series. Do you think that we're getting these interesting spots now? Obviously, the last game went over the total, Carm. But what I've noticed a lot is that whether these totals go over for the full game or not, we are seeing first periods going over, but then sometimes the full game doesn't. What do you think about the total in this one as the series progresses? As Bobrovsky, will want to have a bounce back game. It wasn't his best game of the series, but some series we were kind of seeing, Carm, the series start with high scoring games, gradually get lower scoring. It kind of feels like with the conference finals right now, it's been the opposite. It's been starting low scoring, and then it's just gotten higher and higher from there, as we're seeing a 5-4 result on Sunday between these teams. And you know what's crazy? A 5-4 result, Carm, and we had Florida 2 for 6 on the power play. New York 0 for 2. From the total standpoint, it kind of feels like live unders are in play. I know the last game isn't a good example, but if we continue to see a bang in the first period for both games, both conferences, it almost seems like a good idea to jump in and be the contrarian on the live under. But before we jump into any props, is there anything in the totals market that's been sticking out to you at all?
So you look at this game, Andrew, and you look at it. Usually we correlate things and we say, like, well, if you like the Rangers, then you like the under. Or if you like Florida, you also have to like the under. You look at the other series, and if you like Dallas, you would think it would be an under, and if you like Edmonton, you think it would be an over. To the point of the Edmonton one, I'm just going to go off on a quick tangent. If the total is 5.5 for Game 4, I think you have to jump on it and take that total in Game 4. I had the over in that game yesterday, and it got there, and Game 4 is likely going to go over. But to the point of this game here, yeah, I, I'm fully prepared to draw a line straight through the 5-4 score because the numbers really didn't support that score. Still two very good goalies, Bobrovsky and Shesterkin, who's having a Conn Smythe playoffs thus far. But you look at Florida at home in the playoffs, 7 games. They've only allowed a team to score more than 2 goals twice. Once was this 5-4 game in OT, where again the Rangers only generated 1.77 goals of XG, and the only other game was the first game of the Boston series, where Boston came in off that series win, a lot of momentum. Florida had a few days off, and the Bruins just rolled them in that first game, and then Florida took care of them from that point forward. Only 2 games um, of 7 at home, and you want to go a little further back? Go a little further back, and in their last 12 games, they've kept opponents to 2 or fewer goals in 10 of them. So I expect Florida to be a tough defensive team tonight at home. Whether that's enough to get them the win and to keep the game under the total, we'll have to see. The game plays out the way the game plays out. But it is hard for me to come out here and tell you take the over in this game 5-4. It's going to get another high scoring game because the numbers don't support it. The numbers
Right.
really don't support it. I'd rather be on the side of numbers when trying to make a point on why to take a play than not. So the numbers don't support it in this one. So I'm leaning under in this game.
Karma, a guy that hasn't actually been playing well recently, who had a great first and second round, that would be Alexander Barkov has not been looking great. No points for him in 4 of his last 5 games. However, that one game he does have a point in. Well, he has 2 in the last game, the game that was in Florida. He had a 2-point game last game. It makes sense, of course, because his team had 4 goals. But he hasn't looked good. Verhaeghe hasn't been shooting the puck nearly as much. Reinhart has kind of calmed down a little bit. One guy I had my eye on as far as an under is concerned, Brandon Montour has gone under 2.5 shots in 4 of his last 5 games. He does not have a point in 5 straight games. I don't think Montour is going to break, anything here for this Panthers team and kind of, even things up. He's more responsible for defense in this series. But one that I was looking at this morning that I really do like is actually Barkov for a power play point, Carm. You know that we've talked about those a lot on the show. I like them. And as you mentioned, the Florida Panthers might be one of the most take the most penalties in the league. However, this Rangers team, we saw what Jacob Trouba's been up to, his old tricks. They give up a lot of penalties too. Like I mentioned, the Panthers were 2 for 6 on the power play in the last game. If they convert even one more time, that game is a whole different story. So the number, Carm, I'm seeing on Barkov power play point is plus 190, plus 195. FanDuel and DraftKings, different prices, but I really, really do like that one. With his assists, with his passing, he's certainly been out there. And, overall, I keep on talking about this, but it's been a good time to bet unders as far as player props go. Each player kind of has each team has their player that keeps on going over. But overall, Carm, it's not like the regular season. Like the books are not adjusting like 4 or 5 shots fewer per game in the NHL playoffs. And a good example of that, I know Andy Lang keeps on mentioning this guy, Mika Zibanejad. He goes under 2.5 again. He goes under on his points again. He's someone that
Okay, so I'm going to jump in because Andrew, he's back.
the only
I
guy
thought
I'll
Andrew went
say,
for like a
Carm.
coffee. I thought you went for a
Yeah,
coffee or something. You know what I mean? Like we've
yeah.
almost made it through the playoffs without me muting my mic. It's been pretty good from that point of view. But to your point of, and I'll let you finish your thought. To your point of like Barkov, I get it. Um, the goal scoring props are ones that I've pretty much stayed away from the whole playoffs, Andrew. The shot props, though, the one I'm going to come back to, I took it in the last game and I lost with it. I'm going to come back with it again, is the Mika Zibanejad under 2.5 shots. Because, again, they only had 23 shots in that game, in a game that went to overtime. And he got that third shot late. He had gone 6 straight games where he had 1 shot on goal 4 games in a row, and then 2 shots and 2 shots, and then he gets 3 the last game. I'm going to go with the under in that one because I just think Florida does a very good job of shutting down the top 2 lines, and they've done it in this series. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of other guys that are scoring for the New York Rangers. So we'll see what happens. But the only one I like is the Mika Zibanejad, and I'll likely put that up as a free play up on the site and take it for a unit or two.
Build up my play, and then of course for some reason my screen froze. But I was saying the only guy going over on the Rangers is Trocheck. Every game this guy continues to go over. Everybody else, all the big name guys, Bennett, Kachuk, Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, all of these guys are going under 2.5, but Trocheck is right there every game. So if you guys out there like betting overs, right now, Trocheck is one of your guys you want to be looking at here to get the job done. And Carm, I'm gonna leave you with this. We can switch gears, but I want to bring something up because I have been looking at a couple of these other ones. Block shots. I've been playing these on some of those apps. Not really the sportsbook apps like Underdog Fantasy, Prize Picks. Tanev has been an absolute machine for the Dallas Stars. We've seen Darnell Nurse be a machine for the Oilers. Heiskanen's been great. Heiskanen had over 1.5 block shots for his prop last night. He had 3 block shots in the first period. So if you guys can shop around, and your books should offer these, minus 105 over 1.5 block shots for Adam Foxcarm. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5 and 8 of his last 10. But nobody's betting it. No one's paying attention. They are not changing the odds on this. Adam Fox over 2.5 block shots. And we're also looking at the under 1.5 for Mikola. But that's it for me as far as the prop market is concerned, Carm. And now as we look at the series price in this game, or in this series, would you recommend, if anybody likes the Panthers tonight, to jump in on the Panthers to win the series?
It's one of those ones where, excuse me, Andrew, we talked about it. We've talked about like series prices as we've gone along, and taking the plus money ones, because the plus money ones, you could have gotten the Stars at plus money, and into game 3, if you thought the Stars were still the right team, you're getting plus money on them. I talked about the Rangers after they lost game 1. The price in that series made absolutely no sense after Florida won game 1. The Rangers were plus 250 in that one, Andrew, if you remember. I'm like, how are the Rangers plus 250 in it? If you think the Rangers in a series where, the Rangers then win game 2, and I thought at the very least they're going to go to Florida and win 1 of 2 games there. And then we got a 3-game series and you got a plus 250 ticket in your hand on a team that has home ice in a 3-game series. We'll see if that comes to fruition if the Florida Panthers win tonight. But now you got the Rangers are minus 160. If you had taken that plus 250 and you wanted to get out of the bet, lock in a profit, you could easily take the Florida Panthers at plus 140 now. You can't lose money on that. You just find the sort of the perfect amount to put on Florida that gets you the same amount of money no matter who wins the series. You look at the Oilers. Oilers are now plus 210. They were minus 190 at one point in this series. If you think the Oilers are going to win game 4 and send it back to Dallas, it's a 3-game series and you got a plus 210 ticket in your hands. I wouldn't put it past them, Andrew. They played a good game. They played one bad period. And their 2 games in Dallas were very good ones in which they split the 2 games. So maybe the Oilers at plus 210 is worth a shot, because if they win game 4, the Oilers win game 4, that price on Edmonton comes down to about plus 120-ish. So you're getting plus 210 now on them. I would likely take that one on Edmonton. Obviously, if the Dallas Stars win game 4, you basically have a coaster with your ticket to put your drink on. But with that said, Andrew, of the futures that are available right now, I would say the Oilers at plus 210. And that is not the Canadian Carm cheering for a Canadian team to win the cup. I just think this is a very good Oilers team. I can't blame Stuart Skinner. I blame the Oilers, who did not show up in the second period of that game, Andrew.
When you have a lead, you have to be able to protect it. That's just plain and simple, Carm. And unfortunately, they did not do that. We'll see what happens tonight with the Panthers and the Rangers. Guys, I'll have some props going up as well. But hey, you heard a lot of what I had to offer here today on the show. And we just want to make some money here for you guys on PuckTime. But if you want to find all of our favorite plays, you can go to our homepage over at WagerTalk.com, wt.buzz/am. Get our best bets, our favorite plays of the day. And I've got a huge deal going today and for next week in the CFL, Canadian football. Carm, we're taking $50 off the early bird special right up until the season begins. Once the season begins, the price will go from $250 back up to $350. So if you guys want it, that's the lowest it will go. Before we did a combo with the CFL and NHL. Now with not too much time left in the NHL playoffs, we are doing a huge $50 off deal in the CFL season. So you guys can grab that. It's only good for the next handful of days here. So if you guys want to join me for a 21-week season with playoffs and the Grey Cup championship game, $250. Just get that over at my profile page. One baseball bet, and the rest of my hockey plays you can get, of course, at WagerTalk.com. Carm, you've been talking a lot of soccer to me, but you're also cashing winners in the MLB and, of course, the NHL. What do you have going today?
Yeah, first, obviously, I want to mention it's $2 Tuesdays. $2 Tuesdays where you get a featured cappers play for only $2 with some great promos within it. Las Vegas Chris, absolutely. I'm going to see him in Vegas in a few weeks' time. I love the guy, as genuine as they come. The guy has a 5% play up in the MLB. He's been crushing baseball, so you can pick that up at and he's on Wager Talk today at the top of the hour. So tune in. You can pick that up for only a couple bucks. One MLB play for me, 15-7 in baseball, an easy winner yesterday. So it's been a good May for me and a good season thus far. Profits on the baseball season. 2 plays in the NHL. I'm going to add a third. I'm going to add that Panarin one that I talked about, the under in the shot prop. So there'll be 3 plays up. You just got one for free. You can get those over or grab a 1-day all access. I have the soccer promo, the 3 tournaments. Melissa, who does fantastic work for us in the Detroit office, she's got this promo up. You can get all of the soccer tournaments this summer. There's 3 of them: the Euros, the Copa America, and the Leagues Cup. 3 tournaments played over 2.5 months. June 14th, we're about 2.5 weeks away from the first one kicking off, and you can get those all 3 of those tournaments, every single play, future, prop for only $129. That's a great deal to fill your summer with something other than baseball as well too, because there's nothing else pretty much going on. So grab those ones over at Wager Talk. No coupon needed. You'll find it on my page. Andrew, that's it for me, man. Take us out.
All right, guys, enjoy game 4, Panthers and Rangers. Whatever you're betting, best of luck. Let us know in the comment section and do us a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and show us some love. Thanks for being here with us on WagerTalk TV. We'll see you tomorrow for the breakdown of the Oilers and Stars. We'll see you next time, guys, right here on PuckTime.